The prisoner in the pit, the alien prison, was dark, wet, and full of strange sounds. A green fog floated just above the ground. The air smelled like metal and old blood. Deep underground, in a huge round pit, prisoners sat in silence. Some were injured, some looked angry, and some looked afraid. Then the sound came again. Clank, clank. The steel door at the top opened. A spotlight hit the center of the pit as a guard shouted, "New prisoner." Two aliens dragged a human down the stairs, tall, broad-shouldered, with blood on his lip but fire in his eyes. His hands were tied with glowing chains. "This one fought 5 guards," said the guard. "We'll see how long he lasts." The aliens threw him into the center of the pit. Dust rose. All the prisoners turned to look. The human stood up slowly. His shirt was torn. His face had bruises. But his back was straight, and he didn't look scared. "What's your name, human?" asked a lizard-like alien from the shadows. "Jack," he said, wiping blood from his mouth. "Jack Carter." An old alien laughed. "Another human who thinks he's strong." Jack looked around. "And another group of aliens who think strength comes from claws." The pit was silent. That was a bold thing to say. Suddenly, a large alien stepped forward. He was 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and muscles like tree trunks. "I will test your strength," he growled. He charged at Jack. Jack didn't move. The alien swung his fist, but Jack ducked and grabbed one of his arms. With a sharp twist, a loud crack echoed in the pit. The alien screamed and dropped to the ground. His arm was broken. Gasps filled the air. Jack stood over the alien and said, "Still want to test me?" Up above, behind a hidden glass window, a figure watched closely. She was tall, elegant, with skin like silver and eyes that glowed purple. She wore a crown made of crystal. The Queen of Zeltrex. She leaned forward in her chair. "Interesting," she said softly. A smaller alien beside her whispered, "Shall we mark him for the next fight?" The Queen's eyes narrowed. "No. Bring him to me." Back in the pit, the guards came again. "You, human, the Queen requests your presence." Jack raised an eyebrow. "That's either really good or really bad." They chained him again and pulled him out of the pit. Other prisoners looked at him with fear and curiosity. As Jack disappeared into the hallway, the broken-armed alien growled, "He's not just a human, he's a weapon." The hallway to the Queen's chamber was long and full of statues. Each statue showed a great alien warrior. All of them had proud faces and weapons in their hands. Jack was dragged forward until the guards reached 2 giant doors. They opened with a low hum. Inside, the Queen's throne room was quiet. Too quiet. Pillars made of glowing stone reached the ceiling. Strange alien birds sat in golden cages. A large throne stood at the center, and the Queen sat on it, legs crossed, watching Jack with a calm smile. "You may leave us," she told the guards. They looked confused but obeyed. Now Jack stood alone in front of the alien Queen. "You broke a Drekken's arm," she said. Jack shrugged. "He started it." The Queen smiled. "You are not like other humans we've captured." Jack crossed his arms. "I get that a lot." She stood and walked slowly down the steps. "Tell me, Jack Carter, why do your kind fight so hard, even when you know you can't win?" Jack looked her in the eye. "Because losing is better than giving up." She stopped walking, then she laughed. "Fascinating." Jack wasn't sure if she was impressed or amused. Maybe both. The Queen circled him slowly. "You are strong, not just your body, but your mind. I've studied many races. None are like yours." "Glad to hear we're special," Jack said. She leaned close. "You are. That's why I want something from you." He narrowed his eyes. "And what's that?" She smiled like a predator. "You, as my mate." Jack blinked. "Excuse me? I want your strength, your will. I want it beside me, not against me." Jack laughed. Yeah, that's gonna be a no. Her smile didn't fade. If you refuse, I'll destroy your planet. His smile faded fast. She stepped back and sat on her throne again. I'll give you time, but not too much. Choose wisely, Jack Carter. The room fell silent. Far away, Earth had no idea one of their own had just become the galaxy's most wanted and most desired weapon. *A. Queen's proposal. Jack Carter stood alone in the Queen's throne room. His heart was beating fast, not from fear, from anger. She had just said the most unexpected thing any alien had ever said to him. I want you as my mate. Jack stared at her, trying to read her face. Was this some kind of test? A joke? A trap? But the Queen of Zeltrax wasn't laughing. She was calm, regal, dangerous. He raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. You've tried alien Tinder and ran out of options? The Queen smirked. Your humor is charming, but this is no joke. She stood up again and walked toward him, her long silver gown flowing like smoke. Her eyes, glowing faintly purple, never left his. I've seen thousands of warriors, she said. Aliens who can lift ships. Creatures that can melt steel with their breath. But none of them resist like humans do. Jack crossed his arms. And you want that? For what? A science experiment? A royal toy? She stopped just inches from him. No, I want a partner. One who doesn't bow, but stands. Jack met her gaze. You're threatening to destroy Earth unless I say yes. That's not asking. That's blackmail. She tilted her head. Isn't that how most human love stories begin? Not the good ones, he snapped. The Queen smiled again. You're right, of course. That's why I'm giving you a choice. You stay. Rule beside me. Share your strength with me. Or I send my warships to Earth. Jack looked away, jaw tight. His fists clenched. This wasn't just a power game. It was personal. She didn't want just a mate, she wanted control. And maybe something else, meanwhile. In the shadows unseen by both of them, tiny red lights blinked inside the throne room walls. Spies, recorders, eyes, someone else was watching and listening. In a secret chamber below the palace, a group of cloaked aliens sit around a hologram of Jack and the Queen. One of them, a thin figure with sharp teeth and darker robes, hissed, "The Queen is losing herself." Another alien replied, "She is playing with fire. The human is too dangerous. She believes she can tame him," the third said. "She forgets. Fire burns both ways." Back in the throne room, Jack paced the room while the Queen returned to her throne. "Why me?" he asked suddenly. "Why not just clone someone? Why not use one of your champions?" The Queen looked thoughtful. "Because they obey too easily. You question everything." She leaned forward, fingers steepled. "Tell me, Jack, have you ever loved anyone?" Jack froze. That question hit harder than a punch. Memories of Earth flashed in his mind. A girl with dark hair. A goodbye he never got to say. A mission that went wrong. He turned away. "I'm not here for games," he said. "Neither am I," she replied softly. A strange offer. Moments later, 2 alien guards entered carrying a large black box. The Queen nodded. They placed it in front of Jack and opened it. Inside was a small device. Sleek silver, shaped like a spider. "What is that?" Jack asked, stepping back. "A gift," she said, "or a curse." "Depends on your choice." Jack looked at it suspiciously. "It's a neural link. You wear it, and we are connected mind to mind. No secrets." "No thanks," Jack replied instantly. She smiled. "I thought you'd say that, but if you wear it just once, you'll see who I truly am. My thoughts, my fears, even the reason I chose you." Jack hesitated. What if this was a trick? But what if it wasn't? He glanced at the door. Still guarded. Still. No escape. He slowly reached toward the device. Click. The neural link latched onto the back of his neck. Like cold fingers that suddenly dash images exploded in his mind. Jack sees the truth. He saw the Queen. Not as a ruler, but as a child, locked in a room, trained to kill, raised to rule by fear. He saw her face when she first saw humans on a broken screen from a crashed Earthship. She stared at a soldier helping a wounded child. They protect the weak, she whispered in the memory. He saw her secret chambers, full of Earth books, stories, music, pictures. She had been watching Earth for years, not to destroy it, but to understand it, to understand us. Gasped and pulled the device off. His knees nearly gave out. The Queen stood, her voice softer now. Now you see. He looked at her with a strange mix of anger and something else, pity, understanding. You don't want a mate, he said. You want a savior. Final scene. A hidden threat. Just then an explosion rocked the palace. Red lights flashed. The doors burst open. An alien commander rushed in. Your Highness, there's been a breach. The rebels have struck the South Towers. They're looking for the human. Jack looked at her. Rebels? You've got a fan club? She didn't smile this time. No. I have enemies who fear what you and I could become together. Smart enemies, Jack muttered. She walked toward the door. Stay in this room. Don't try to escape. I'll handle this. She paused, then looked over her shoulder. And, Jack, if you still plan to say no, you better be ready to fight a galaxy. The doors slammed shut. Jack stood alone again, this time not as a prisoner, but as the most dangerous wild card in the universe. Asterisk games of strength. Tests of will. Asterisk. The air in the arena was thick with heat and noise. Alien spectators filled the balconies above, cheering, growling, and placing bets in dozens of strange languages. At the center stood a steel platform, glowing red from the lava underneath. And on that platform stood Jack Carter, shirtless, chained, and watching as the gates slowly opened in front of him. This wasn't just a fight, it was a show. A test, a trap. Asterisk. The Queen's challenge. The Queen of Zeltrax stood in her private viewing box, cloaked in royal armor, her expression unreadable. Beside her, her chief advisor leaned in. You should not risk him like this, my queen. What if he dies? She didn't blink. Then he was never strong enough to rule beside me. Below, the gates finished opening. From the shadows stepped a creature that looked like it had crawled out of a nightmare, 8 feet tall. 6 limbs, black skin like armor, a mouth that opened sideways. The announcer shouted, Presenting, K. Thor, champion of the Blood Moons, unbeaten in 98 battles. Jack muttered, Great. What happened to best 2 out of 3? His chain snapped loose. No weapons. No backup. Just raw survival. The first trial. The beast in the Aranaka. Thor roared and charged like a monster tank. Jack sidestepped the first attack, barely dodging claws that could tear through steel. He landed a punch on its ribs. It didn't flinch. The crowd booed. Jack ducked another swing and whispered to himself, Okay, no weak points. Let's try stupid ones. He ran straight at the beast. Prepared to crush him, but Jack dove under its legs, rolled up its back, and jammed his foot into a nerve cluster behind its neck. The creature screamed. Then Jack grabbed its own chain from its belt and wrapped it around its throat. The alien thrashed, but Jack held on like a madman. Come on, big guy, he growled. Sleep tight. 30 seconds later, the beast collapsed unconscious. The crowd went silent, then cheers erupted. The Queen stood slowly. Her eyes met Jack's. He lives, she whispered. He learns. But not everyone looked pleased. Whispers of rebellion in a dark chamber beneath the arena. A group of alien nobles watched the fight replay on a screen. He survived. Again, one hissed. He grows more popular each time, another added. The people admire him. A third, cloaked in shadows, spoke coldly. Then we make him fail, publicly. or we kill him before the next trial. The second trial, the maze of machines. Jack was taken straight from the arena to a new chamber, this time cold, silent, and made of shifting walls and metal doors. You have 1 hour, said a robotic voice. Find the exit or die. The floor moved. Under his feet, a death maze. Blades slid from the walls. Floors dropped suddenly. Drones fired stun beams from above. Jack ran, ducked, and dived through the traps like a soldier in hell. At one point, a wall closed behind him, and gas began to fill the room. He held his breath, then noticed a panel on the floor, a pressure sensor. He jammed a broken pipe between the wall and the panel. Clicked. The gas stopped. Nice try, Jack muttered. But I've played worse video games. He sprinted through the maze, mind racing, body bruised. Finally, he reached the exit. Just as the walls collapsed behind him, the door opened. Waiting on the other side was a girl. Not human, but not like the others either. She looked young with pale blue skin and glowing eyes. Who are you? Jack asked. She smiled. Your next test. The third trial, the mind game. She led Jack into a dark room with only a chair and a glowing cube. Sit, she said gently. Jack frowned. No weapons, no monsters? She tilted her head. The enemy this time is inside you. He sat. The cube lit up, and suddenly, Jack was back on Earth. Back in a destroyed city. Fire. Smoke. Screams. What is this? He whispered. A hologram. Version of himself stood before him, holding the gun, crying. He saw his old unit. Dead. He saw a child dying in his arms. He saw himself walking away. You failed, said the voice in his head. You let them die. Jack fell to his knees. The girl's voice echoed in the room. You must face your fear, or it will eat you. Jack clenched his fists. I already live with it, he whispered. I carry it. The image flickered. The cube dimmed. He stood up stronger. Nice therapy session, he muttered. Now where's my prize? She smiled. You passed. No one ever has. Before. The queen reacts back in her chambers. The queen watched the footage. Her hands gripped the rail tightly. He is more than I thought, she whispered. Her advisor frowned. He is dangerous. Yes, she said. That's why I want him. Cliffhanger. Poison in the palace. Later that night, Jack sat alone in a dark guest chamber. His body ached. His mind was on fire. Then he felt dizzy. His vision blurred. Something was wrong. He stumbled toward the wall. A shadow stepped out of the darkness. A blade gleamed. You should have died in the arena, said a voice, before the blade struck. Another figure leapt in. The blue-skinned girl. She blocked the assassin, fought him off, and helped Jack to the bed. They want you dead, she whispered. You're more than a champion now. You're a threat to the Empire. Jack passed out. Secrets beneath the palace. The palace was quiet that night. Too quiet. Jack Carter lay awake, staring at the ceiling of his royal guest chamber. The bed was soft. The room was warm. The guards were posted outside, and yet he felt like a prisoner. A well-decorated cage was still a cage. His muscles ached from the trials. His mind spun with questions. The queen had tested his strength, his reflexes, even his mind. But what was she really looking for? The girl with the mappe knock at the secret wall. Jack jumped to his feet, ready for a fight. But it wasn't a soldier. It was her again, the blue-skinned girl who saved him from the assassin. She stepped inside quickly, holding a strange piece of paper. No, a map glowing faintly. Blue. What's that? Jack asked. She whispered. A map to the lowest levels of the palace. Places even the queen doesn't go anymore. Jack raised an eyebrow. And you're just giving this to me. Why? She looked at him, eyes serious. Because you need to see the truth. About why you're here. Descent into darkness. Later that night, Jack moved through the silent palace corridors. He wore dark clothes and carried only a knife and the map. The guards didn't see him. Or maybe someone made sure they didn't. He reached a hidden lift behind a statue of an old alien warlord. The lift creaked downward, far below the known palace levels. After 5 minutes, it stopped with a jolt. The door opened. The air was cold, dusty. The smell of rust and old tech filled the space. Jack stepped out into a long hallway, dark, cracked, and covered in vines. The walls were marked with ancient alien symbols, and some in English. Wait a minute. He moved closer, carved. Into the metal were words: Project Adam Earth Origin Subject, HFY Sci-Fi His Breath. What the hell is this place? The forgotten lab. The hallway opened into a vast underground laboratory. Machines covered in cobwebs. Pods that once held creatures, now empty. Screens flickering with corrupted data. Jack approached a console and wiped the dust off. Accessing file. The screen blinked. A video started. A human scientist appeared, gray hair, tired eyes, Earth uniform. If you're seeing this, it means the Queen has finally found one of you. This project was never about peace. They lied. To us, they didn't want to study humans. They wanted to make one of their own. Jack leaned in. We were captured years ago. Earth never found us. The Queen selected DNA from captured soldiers, tested them, cloned them, altered them. You, Subject A113, were one of the last. But you're different. You weren't made in a lab. You escaped before they could finish the final stage. Jack stumbled back. I'm not just a prisoner, he whispered. I'm part of the experiment. Echoes from the past. He moved deeper into the lab. There were cryo chambers, now cracked open. In one of them, he saw an old Earth uniform. Floating in water, a name tag, SGTL Carter. His father, his knees buckled. No. He checked the chamber's record. Subject expired. Protective pod failure. Final words. Tell Jack I'm sorry. Jack pressed his forehead to the glass. This wasn't a random mission gone wrong. This was personal. They took his father. They used him to create something else. Him. The signal. Suddenly, a console lit up. Incoming message signal traced to Earth SCTOR. Jack stared at the message. Someone had sent a transmission just hours ago. He played the audio. This is Colony 9, Earth Outpost. We received your pulse signal. Who are you? Identify yourself. His pulse spiked. Earth was listening. He fumbled to reply, typing into the broken console. Name, Jack Carter. Status, alive, captive, requesting extraction. The signal failed, but not before someone on the other end whispered, Jack Carter, we thought you were dead. Then, silence. Escape interrupted. Jack turned to leave, but the lights went red. Alarms echoed through the chamber. He cursed. I triggered something. Footsteps echoed in the halls. You shouldn't be here, said a voice from the shadows. A tall alien stepped into the light. Royal armor, scarred face, cold eyes. It was Commander Vrax, head of the Queen's elite guard. You've seen too much human. Now you die. A fight in the dark. Jack grabbed a metal pipe from the floor. Vrax drew a glowing blade. They clashed in the ruins of the lab, sparks flying, fists landing, metal crashing. Jack was faster. Vrax was stronger. The fight was brutal. At one point, Vrax pinned Jack against the wall. You think she cares about you? He growled. You're just another toy. A weapon she can break. Jack spat in his face. Then why are you so afraid of me? He slammed the pipe into Vrax's jaw, grabbed the blade, and stabbed it into the floor controls. The room exploded in sparks. Vrax fell. Jack limped toward the lift, breathing hard, blood on his arm. He escaped just before the lower levels collapsed. In flames. Final scene. The Queen confronts hours later. The Queen stood alone in the burnt lab. Surrounded by her guards, she looked at the broken pods, the shattered screens, the words Project Atom still glowing on one monitor. Her eyes were distant, not angry, not afraid. Just sad. Her advisor stepped beside her. He knows the truth now. She nodded. Good, she said quietly. He was never supposed to obey me. He was meant to challenge me. She turned away. Now, the real test begins. Asterisk rebellion. Ignites asterisk. The Queen didn't speak to Jack for 3 days. No guards. No new tests. No audience. He was locked in his guest chamber. Luxurious, yes. But still a cage. And now he wasn't sure if she was ignoring him or watching his every move. This silence isn't safety, he whispered to himself. It's strategy. The girl returns with a warning. The secret wall slid open. Again, the blue-skinned girl stepped in, fast and breathless. Jack, you don't have much time. Jack sat up from the bed. You always bring the worst kind of bedtime stories. She didn't smile this time. The Queen knows you found the lab. She didn't stop you because she wanted you to see it. Jack frowned. She wanted me to find out I was part of some freak science project? She nodded. Yes, because that's how she controls people, through truth wrapped in pain. Jack stood, face hardening. Then maybe it's time I stop playing her games. The girl reached into her robe and pulled out a small black device. Use this. It will get you outside the palace walls. Jack raised an eyebrow. And then what? She took a deep breath. You meet the resistance. The resistance that night. Jack slipped past the guards, used the device, and escaped into the tunnels beneath the palace. Later, he arrived at a hidden rebel outpost. It was deep inside the ruins of an old alien city. Walls cracked, ceiling leaking, but filled with life. Dozens of aliens sat around tables, studying maps, building weapons, whispering about the Queen. But when Jack walked in, silence fell. Eyes turned. They stared at him like he was a ghost or a god. A grizzled alien with bronze skin stepped forward. You're the human. Jack nodded. Jack Carter. And I'm here to help burn this empire down. The alien smiled. Then welcome. You're not the only one who wants her off that throne. Training and tension. Jack spent the next few days with the rebels. He trained them in guerrilla tactics, human-style. Small teams, fast strikes, smart moves. They taught him how to use their alien weapons. He taught them how to fight dirty. Your Queen fights like a goddess, Jack told them. We fight like ghosts. The rebels listened. They respected him, but they also feared what he might become. What if the Queen turned him? One whispered, what if this is part of her plan? What if he's just like her? Meanwhile, the Queen watches in her throne room. The Queen of Zeltrax stared at a hologram of Jack training with rebels. Her advisor approached. He's becoming a leader. The advisor warned. You've created a threat. She didn't reply. Instead, she asked quietly, do you know what happens when you teach fire to walk? The advisor blinked. It burns everything? She turned her glowing eyes toward him. No, it chooses where to burn. A plan takes shape at the rebel base. Jack gathered the leaders. He pointed to a palace map. There's a weak spot. Here, he said, the power node that runs the eastern shields. We hit it, the gates open. We get in. We end it. One alien asked, and the Queen? Jack stared at the map. She sees herself as a god. But gods fall. Another rebel looked uneasy. You're not planning to spare her? Jack hesitated. I don't know what I'm planning. I just know she can't keep ruling. The betrayal. The rebels launched their attack at dawn. Jack and 3 squads slipped into the outer zone of the palace through the tunnels. Explosives were planted. The countdown began, but just as Jack reached the shield node, alarms blared. Too soon, too loud. We've been betrayed. Someone yelled through the cum-data trap. Dozens of royal guards dropped from the upper floors. Weapons drawn, rebels scattered, fighting to survive. Jack fought like a man possessed, dodging blasts, disarming guards, throwing punches like war poetry. But it wasn't enough. One by one, rebels were taken down. Captured. Or worse. Face to face again. Jack was dragged back to the palace, bleeding, furious. The guards threw him to the floor in the throne room. The queen stood above him. No armor this time. Just her crown. Her silence. She looked down at him with something between sadness and admiration. "You surprised me," she said. Again. Jack spat blood onto the floor. "You set us up." She didn't deny it. "Yes. I had to know if you would truly betray me." He laughed bitterly. "Betray you? You lied to me. Used me, played with my life." The queen walked slowly around him. "And yet here you are, alive, stronger, respected." Jack looked up, eyes burning. "You knew I would lead them," she nodded. "That's why I let you go. Because I needed to see what kind of king you'd be." The final twist. Jack struggled to his feet. "I'm not your king. I'm your end," the queen sighed. "I was hoping you'd choose differently." She raised a hand. A guard stepped forward, holding a black object, a detonator. One push, the entire rebel base burns. Jack froze. She whispered, "Choose their lives or your war." Time stopped. Jack looked at the device. At the queen. At the future hanging by a thread. Then he walked to the guard, took the detonator, and crushed it under his boot. The queen didn't move. Neither did the guards. Jack's voice was quiet, cold, sharp. "You want to see what I become when I stop being human? Keep pushing." The fall of the Empire. The skies above Zeltrax turned black. Not from night, but from war. The rebel fleet had arrived. Thousands of stolen alien ships. Lights blinking. Engines roaring. At the front of the fleet flew a dark, sleek craft, small, fast, and deadly. Inside it stood Jack Carter, eyes locked forward, jaw clenched, heart heavy. This was it, the final strike. No more games. No more half-truths. This was the end of the Queen's empire. Or the beginning of something even worse. A message to the Queen before the attack. Jack sent one final message to the palace. Just 3 words: "I'm coming home." In the throne room, the Queen stood silently as the message played. Her hands trembled slightly. The advisor turned to her. "We must leave. Evacuate the core." She said nothing. He begged, "You don't have to face him. You still have time." She whispered, "He was never my enemy." Then she drew her sword. "But I will not run." The storm begins. The rebel ships broke through the first wave of palace defenses. Towers exploded. Laser fire lit the sky. Smoke rose over the golden city. Jack and his strike team landed at the eastern gates, blasting through guards, disabling turrets, and pushing forward with brutal precision. "We take the throne," Jack told them. "We take it today." By his side was the blue-skinned girl, silent, fierce, and armed with twin plasma blades. "This is suicide," she muttered. Jack grinned. "Only if we die." Inside the throne hall, the Queen watched the palace burn on her high monitor, but there was no panic in her face, only something strange. Almost peace. She turned to her elite guards. "Protect the people. Defend the city." One guard asked, "And you?" She removed her crown. "I will wait for him alone." The final advance. Jack and his squad stormed the final corridor, a massive golden bridge surrounded by statues of past rulers. Explosions shook the walls. One of his team was hit. The others pulled him back. Jack didn't stop. He sprinted through the fire and shadows, sliding under a falling beam, and kicked open the throne room doors. They crashed open with a thunderclap. And there she was, standing alone. No guards. Number. Armor. No crown. Just her tall, silver-skinned, eyes glowing purple. And waiting, the final conversation. Jack stepped in slowly, holding his weapon. She didn't flinch. "You should have run," he said. She smiled sadly. "So should you." He circled her. "You let me go. You gave me the map. You knew I'd come back. Why?" She turned to him. "Because I wanted you to break the world I was trapped in. Because if you destroyed me, maybe something better would rise." He raised the weapon. "You're a manipulator. You use people. You used me." She looked down. "And yet, I still wanted you to choose me." The Queen's secret. She walked to the center of the room and tapped the floor. A hologram rose. Dozens of Earth soldiers, some dead, some alive. All tested. "These are the others," she said quietly. "Subjects, failures. Your father was one of the first." Jack's hands shook. "You built me." "No," she whispered. "I freed you." He stared at her. "You're still lying." She looked up, pain in her eyes. "You think I wanted a mate because I needed power?" "No, Jack. I wanted someone who wouldn't obey me. I needed someone to stop me." The trigger. Suddenly, sirens screamed. The palace's core had been breached. A reactor was overloading. The city would burn, everyone in it. The Queen turned to Jack. "There's a failsafe below the throne. You can shut it down. But only one person can stay behind to hold the key." Jack stared at her. "You planned this too?" She smiled faintly. "No, this is chaos." The floor opened. Jack looked into the chamber below, full of radiation and fire. Only one would survive. "Let me do it," she said. "Let me end what I started." The choice. Jack stood frozen. For all the pain, all the lies, all the loss, he didn't want her to die. "There has to be another way." She stepped forward. "There isn't. You're the future. I'm just the last mistake of the past." She placed something in his hand, the neural link. "When you wear this again, you'll hear everything I wanted to say, but never could." He took it, heart-pounding. She smiled. "Go, Jack, before I change my mind." He stepped back and, for a moment, he saluted her. "Long live the Queen," she bowed. "No, long live the human." The fall. Jack escaped through the collapsing corridors as the core chamber sealed behind him. He looked back only once, and then the palace exploded in golden light, a fire so bright it painted the sky. The city was silent. The war was over. 1 month later, the new council sat in the rebuilt chambers of ZELTRAX. Aliens of every kind, united. And at the head of the table sat Jack Carter. No crown. No title, just a voice, a vote, and a memory of a silver-skinned queen who once ruled through fear, but died with honor. Message. Late at night, Jack sat alone in his chamber. He took out the neural link, put it on. The Queen's voice whispered into his mind. "You weren't a soldier, Jack. You were a mirror. You showed me what I could have been. If I'd been brave enough to care. Thank you for breaking me. Now go build something better." The message ended. Jack looked out the window at the stars. "No gods, no empires," he said. "Just people, trying to do better." A new reign, human and alien. 1 year later, the city of Zeltrax had changed. Palace was no longer a symbol of control, but a center of unity. Its golden spires were rebuilt, not taller, but wider, to make room for all species. Statues of former rulers were removed. In their place stood something new, a large, unarmed figure in armor, human, no weapon, just a hand outstretched toward the stars. Inside, a council of 12 now ruled the planet, a mix of alien tribes, former rebels, and yes, humans. At the head of the table sat the man who never asked to lead, Jack Carter, but he was no king, just a voice, a steady one. The peace talks begin. Jack sat across from 3 ambassadors from a nearby star system. Old enemies of the Empire. Tension hung in the air. Your queen conquered our colonies, one growled. Why should we trust her pet human to lead a new peace? Jack didn't flinch. Because I'm not her pet, he said. I'm her mistake. And her redemption. You want revenge? Or do you want progress? The alien narrowed his eyes. Words. Jack tapped the table. Actions are coming. With or without your help. A long pause. Then, the ambassador nodded once. We'll talk again. Progress. Slow, fragile, real. The ghost of the queen that night. Jack walked alone through the rebuilt palace gardens. He still wore simple clothes, no robe, no throne. He paused beside the edge of the platform where the old palace fell. The wind was cold, the stars quiet, and then, her voice. You miss me. Jack turned. No one was there. Just a neural link still hidden in his collar. Her voice had triggered. Again, a final message. You always hated silence, Jack. But silence is how peace begins. You ended something terrible, but peace. Peace needs a dream. What will yours be? He didn't answer. He just looked up at the stars, elsewhere in the galaxy. Far. From Zeltrax, deep in uncharted space, an ancient signal pulsed for the first time in centuries. Red, sharp, cold, a dark station lit up. Machines came alive. Inside, a frozen vault opened. A voice whispered in a dead language. Project Exodus, reactivating. A screen flickered on. Jack Carter's face appeared. Earth species confirmed. Threat level, maximum. In the corner, a timer started counting down. Back on Zeltrax. Trouble brews in the morning. Jack walked into the council chamber to find chaos. The blue-skinned girl, now Zeltrax's chief diplomat, rushed to his side. A research ship was destroyed near the void. No survivors. Jack frowned. Pirates? She shook her head. Something worse. She showed him a fragment of a black symbol, burned into the wreckage. Jack froze. He'd seen it before, in the Queen's secret archives. A symbol of a forgotten faction, the Architects. Creators of hybrid weapons, old gods and machines. Rumored to be dead, but maybe not dead enough. Digging deeper, Jack pulled the archives. The Queen's notes were there. Handwritten in alien script, translated by machine. If Project Atom failed, Project Exodus will follow. Built in the shadows beyond control. 2. Dangerous even for me. I locked it away. Buried the access key. May it never awaken. Key location, unknown. Jack turned to the blue-skinned girl. They're coming. And we don't have her. A fragile world braces for Zeltrax. Defenses were weak. The city was rebuilding. The people were tired. Jack met with the rebel leaders and new council members. This isn't about politics anymore, he told them. This is survival. And if we want to survive, we fight as one. The old bronze-skinned alien, now a general, spoke. We don't even know what we're fighting. Jack replied simply, we'll find out. Or we'll be erased. The room fell into a heavy silence. The peace they built wasn't permanent. It never was. The Queen's final secret that night. The blue-skinned girl returned to Jack's room, carrying a glowing orb. Found this in the old vault, she said, encrypted. Buried behind 5 false walls. Jack activated it, the Queen's. Face appeared, not as a hologram, but as a recording. She looked different, tired, almost afraid. If you're seeing this, they've awakened. The Architects are not just machines, they're my ancestors. My empire wasn't built to protect the galaxy. It was built to delay the Architects from rising again. But I failed. You, Jack, you may be the only one who can survive them. Because you weren't built to obey, you were built to adapt. And they fear that. The orb dimmed. Jack sat back in silence. The blue-skinned girl asked, "What now?" Jack stood. Now we stop surviving. Now we start preparing. War on the horizon far in deep space. Ships unlike anything in the galaxy began to rise from black holes. They were not alive, but they were waiting inside one ship. A voice like static whispered, "The human. A broken thing. A thing that leads. A thing that must be erased. The age of flesh ends now." Back on Zeltrax, Jack stood on the city wall, watching storms gather in the sky. He turned to his allies. "We ended a queen. Now we fight the gods